My neighbor Dan retired 2 months ago at 62. He didn't sell a tech startup. He wasn't a corporate VP with stock options. He was a shift supervisor at the water treatment plant. He made about $78,000 a year. He drove a 2014 Ford F-150 with a dent in the tailgate. We were leaning over his fence on a Tuesday afternoon. He was cleaning his lawnmower deck. I was taking out my trash. I asked him the question everyone wants to ask a guy who just pulled the plug. "How's it feel? You worried about running out?" Dan wiped his hands on a shop rag. He looked me dead in the eye. "Frank, the last 10 years aren't about making a fortune. They're about stopping 5 stupid leaks that everybody else thinks are normal." He didn't hand me a chart. He didn't sell me a course. He just walked back into his garage. I've spent the last month running the actual numbers behind what Dan said. You might be between 55 and 65 right now. You might be sitting on a 401k that feels about $300,000 lighter than you'd like. What I found is going to make you mad. And then it's going to save your skin. The math of the final decade. Let's skip the guru fairy tales. Forget hitting the jackpot in crypto. Forget day trading options from your spare bedroom. You're in your late 50s or early 60s. You don't have 40 years for compound interest to fix your mistakes. You've got about 10. Here is the central anchor of this entire video. It is the $500 rule for the final decade. What happens if you redirect $500 a month into a simple index fund starting at age 55? What does that actually give you by age 65? Let's look at historical market returns. Over long periods, broad stock market index funds have averaged around 10% a year before inflation. That is about 7% after adjusting for inflation. You put $500 a month into a low-cost index fund. It compounds at an average 7% net return over 10 years. You don't just have the $60,000 you put in. You are sitting on roughly $86,500 in new wealth. You might push that to $1,000 a month across a few areas of your life. That turns into over $173,000. Now let's talk about taking that money out. Financial planners use a standard guideline called a 4% safe withdrawal rate. Basically, you pull out 4% of your total balance each year, so your money lasts as long as you do. Apply that 4% rate to your extra $86,500. That hands you nearly $3,500 in extra annual income for life. And you never touch your principal balance. That pays your property taxes forever. That covers your health insurance gap. So why does having a hard number matter right now? The Employee Benefit Research Institute looked at this in their Retirement Confidence Survey. Worker confidence in having enough money for a comfortable retirement dropped to 61%. Rising healthcare costs, debt, and housing prices are eating people alive. Here is the key takeaway in that study. Some workers actually run a formal retirement calculation. They put pen to paper and figure out their exact target. Those workers are more than twice as likely to feel highly confident about their financial future. Uncertainty is a nightmare. Math is a strategy. Let's walk through 5 specific places where people in their final working decade bleed $500 to $1,000 every month without realizing it. Application 1. The car payment that outlived its purpose. Take a look down your driveway. Data from Experian state of the automotive finance market shows a shocking trend. The average monthly payment for a new vehicle in America has climbed to a record $770 a month. The average loan term is now nearly 70 months. People are signing 6-year loans for depreciating metal at 58 years old. Say you trade in a paid-off car today. You take on a $770 monthly payment between age 55 and 65. Here is what you're really doing. You aren't paying $770 for a car. You are trading away $133,000 in compound retirement wealth at age 65. Keep your reliable, paid-off car instead. Or buy a good used vehicle outright. Redirect that $770 payment into your retirement portfolio for 10 years. You hand yourself over $133,000 in nest egg cushion. That single decision covers our $500 rule with $270 to spare. Application 2. The subscription stack. Nobody thinks they're broke because of Netflix. You're right. You're not. Consumer surveys from C and our research show a wild gap here. People think they know what they spend on subscriptions. But the math says otherwise. The average consumer estimates they spend about $86 a month on subscriptions. Then researchers audit their actual bank statements. They add up the streaming services, forgotten gym memberships, cloud storage, premium apps, software, and delivery passes. The average actual total is $219 a month. That is a $133 monthly gap between reality and what people think they spend. Audit your accounts tonight. Cancel the $120 a month in subscription bloat you don't use. Put that money to work over your final decade. That adds another $20,700 to your retirement fund at age 65. You don't have to give up TV. Just stop silent credit card auto-renews from stealing your freedom. Application 3. The Adult Children Premium. This is the hard one. I am not moralizing here. We love our kids. But we have to look at the math cleanly. A Savings.com study found something alarming. 50% of parents with adult children aged 18 and older give them regular financial assistance. What is the average amount those parents give? It is $1,474 a month. Working parents who support grown kids contribute more than twice as much money per month to their adult children as they do to their own retirement accounts. Here is the cold reality. Your adult child can get a loan for a car. They can get a loan for a house. They can get a loan for a business. Nobody gives you a loan for retirement. You might be paying for cell phone plans, rent, car payments, or daily expenses for a 26-year-old who works. Scale that support backed by just $300 a month. Put it toward your final decade instead. That adds $52,000 to your nest egg. Setting financial boundaries with adult children isn't selfish. Ensuring you don't become a financial burden on them when you're 80 is the greatest gift you can give them. Application 4. The Dining and Convenience Creep. Look at the numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey. Households in the 55 to 64 age bracket spend an average of over $4,000 a year on food away from home. That is over $330 a month spent on restaurants, takeout, delivery fees, and morning drive-thrus. Nobody is telling you to eat beans and rice out of a tin can for 10 years. You worked hard. Enjoy a dinner out. Convenience creep happens slowly. You spend $350 a month getting takeout delivered on weeknights because you're tired after work. Dial that back by just $150 a month. That reclaims $26,000 in compound growth over a 10-year period. It's not about sacrifice. It's about deciding whether DoorDash tonight is worth more than a month of freedom at 65. Application 5. The fee drag inside your 401k. This leak is invisible. Nobody sends you a bill for it. Every investment fund charges a fee to manage your money. This is called an expense ratio. It is the percentage of your account balance the fund keeps each year to cover its operating costs. Data from Morningstar shows that the average actively managed stock fund carries an expense ratio around 0.58% to 0.60%. Many older 401k plans pack funds that charge 1% or higher. Meanwhile, a broad index fund usually charges around 0.03% to 0.05%. That looks like a tiny fraction of a percent. Who cares about 0.5%? Let's run the math on a $300,000 balance at age 55 over a 10-year period. A high-fee active fund with a 7% gross return minus a 0.6% fee leaves you with a 6.4% net return. In 10 years, your balance grows to $557,800. A low-cost index fund with a 7% gross return minus a 0.04% fee leaves you with a 6.96% net return. In 10 years, your balance grows to $587,900. That 0.56% fee gap quietly drains $30,100 straight out of your pocket over 10 years. Market crashes didn't take that money. You gave it away to Wall Street managers. SPIVA data shows those high-fee managers fail to beat the index 85% to 90% of the time anyway. Two paths at age 55, Bob versus Jim. Let's put this all together with two real-world examples. Meet Bob and Jim. Both are 55 years old. Both make $80,000 a year. Both have $250,000 in their 401ks. Here is the starting line at age 55. Both make an $80,000 salary, and both have $250,000 in their 401k. Path 1, Bob. Bob changes nothing. Bob finances a new SUV with a $770 monthly payment. He spends $180 a month on forgotten subscriptions and delivery food. He keeps his 401k invested in target date and active funds with an average 0.6% fee. He saves his standard 5% to get his company match. On an $80,000 salary, that is $333 a month before taxes. Path 2, Jim. Jim applies the $500 rule. Jim watches Dan clean his lawnmower deck. He decides to audit his life across just 3 of the 5 applications. First, he drives his paid-off sedan for another 10 years instead of taking on a $770 car payment. Second, he cleans up subscriptions and convenience food to free up $180 a month. Third, he switches his 401k investments into low-cost index funds with a 0.04% fee. Jim takes that recaptured cash, $770 from the car payment plus $180 from his food and subscription audit. That is $950 a month total. He adds it to his 401k contributions alongside his standard 5% savings. The 10-year result at age 65. Assuming an average 7% net annual market return over 10 years. Bob reaches age 65 with $538,000 in his 401k. His car loan debt is zero because he just finished paying it off. Using a 4% withdrawal rate, his portfolio produces about $21,500 a year. That is $1,790 a month in extra income. Bob is nervous. Social Security is his main lifeline, and healthcare costs are coming fast. Jim reaches age 65 with $736,000 in his 401k. His car loan debt is also zero because he never took one on. His portfolio produces $29,400 a year. That is $2,450 a month in income. That single 10-year stretch gave Jim an extra $198,000 in balance. It gave him $660 every single month in extra retirement cash flow for the rest of his life. Jim didn't get a promotion. He didn't win the lottery. He didn't pick hot stocks. He just plugged 3 leaks. One concrete action this week. Remember what my neighbor Dan said over the fence? The last 10 years aren't about making a fortune. They're about stopping 5 stupid leaks that everybody else thinks are normal. Now you've seen the math. Those leaks aren't invisible anymore. You know where the money goes. You know what it costs your future self. You don't have to overhaul your entire life by tomorrow morning. Just take one concrete action before this week is out. Log into your primary workplace 401k or IRA account. Click on Investments. Find the expense ratios on your funds. See if you are paying more than 0.1% in fees. If you are, switch your future contributions into a broad low-cost index fund. That 10-minute task can save you tens of thousands of dollars over the next decade. Stop performance playing your finances. Plug the leaks. Run the numbers. Let time do the rest. I'm Frank. This is Frank Retires. I'll talk to you next week.